Iran says framework for deal agreed with U.S. at nuclear talks. Iran in no way seeking nuclear weapons, President. Iran decries U.S. policies as economic attack on its people. 85 UN member states condemn Israeli measures in West Bank. Iran says it has reached an initial understanding with the United States on key guiding principles aimed at resolving their long-running dispute over Tehran's nuclear program. Speaking after indirect negotiations in Geneva, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said progress had been made but emphasized that significant work remains. U.S. officials echoed that assessment, confirming that talks were constructive while noting that many details still need to be finalized. Oman's foreign minister, whose country is mediating the discussions, described the meeting as achieving, quote, progress toward identifying shared goals and technical issues. The negotiations come amid heightened tensions, including recent U.S. military warnings and a buildup of forces in the Middle East. President Donald Trump has suggested Iran is motivated to strike a deal, cautioning that failing to do so could bring serious consequences. Washington and its European allies remain concerned that Iran could be moving toward developing nuclear weapons, a claim Tehran continues to deny. Iran entered the talks seeking relief from U.S. economic sanctions in exchange for limits on its nuclear activities, while Washington has signaled interest in expanding discussions to include Iran's missile program. Officials say Iran is expected to return within weeks, with detailed proposals to bridge remaining gaps, making the Geneva talks a potentially important step toward easing one of the world's most sensitive geopolitical standoffs. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has reaffirmed that Iran is not pursuing nuclear weapons, stressing that the country's policies, along with a religious decree from Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, clearly prohibit such ambitions. In an interview released Tuesday, Pezeshkian dismissed claims that Tehran is seeking nuclear arms as politically motivated and expressed hope that the international community, particularly the United States, would recognize Iran's position. At the same time, he emphasized the importance of nuclear science for peaceful purposes, including medical treatment, industrial growth, and agricultural development. He said Iran cannot accept restrictions that would prevent it from using nuclear technology to meet these needs. The president also signaled readiness for extensive international inspections, stating that Tehran has no concerns about verification by the International Atomic Energy Agency. His remarks came shortly after a second round of nuclear negotiations between Iranian and U.S. representatives in Geneva. Iranian officials reported progress, saying both sides agreed on guiding principles to shape future discussions toward a potential deal. The renewed talks follow a period of reduced rhetoric from both countries, raising cautious hopes for diplomatic momentum. Iran has strongly condemned recent remarks by former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi regarding American sanctions, accusing Washington of intentionally harming ordinary citizens. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Baghai said policies designed to make civilians feel the pain amount to deliberate suffering for political leverage. He described such actions as unjust and labeled them evidence of what he called a systematic approach to pressure populations. Baghai went further, arguing that intentionally inflicting hardship on civilians could be viewed as a crime against humanity. The comments highlight ongoing tensions between Tehran and Washington, as economic sanctions remain a central point of dispute in the broader geopolitical standoff. Representatives from 85 United Nations member states have issued a joint statement condemning what they describe as Israel's expanding control over the West Bank, warning the actions could amount to de facto annexation of Palestinian territory. The statement criticized unilateral Israeli measures and urged their immediate reversal, arguing they violate international law and threaten prospects for peace. The backlash follows recent decisions by Israel's Security Cabinet to tighten authority over parts of the West Bank governed by the Palestinian Authority. A newly approved process to register land as, quote, state property has further intensified international concern. The signatories, including Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, the European Union, the Arab League, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, also opposed any steps that could alter the demographic makeup or status of territories occupied since 1967, including East Jerusalem. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has called the policy destabilizing and unlawful, urging Israel to reconsider. Today, more than 500,000 Israelis live in settlements across the West Bank, while roughly 3 million Palestinians reside in the territory, which has remained under Israeli occupation for decades. The growing dispute underscores mounting global tension over the future of the region and the viability of a negotiated two-state solution.